a little bit because there's an exercise. Well, so we in this fifth module, we're gonna learn how to produce a proper layout. Okay, we're gonna learn to produce maps. Okay, but in a more professional way. Okay, Quantum UAS has heaps of features and tools that that help us to produce very, very professional maps. So we are gonna learn a little bit more about layers, styles. Okay. We're gonna learn more about the labeling, and we're gonna learn about presets, which is a tool that help us to control styles and which shapefiles are displayed and which are not. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is to open a new project. It's like yesterday. It's a hands-on module. Okay, there's no slides, blah blah blah. It's just exercises. Okay. So what we're gonna do is to open in module a new project, and we go to module 5, layers, opening South Tarawa EA 4326. Okay. So we already know how to change the style of the layer, but so this is something that I explained the second day, that what the project does is when we save a project, it saves the way we have the type of, it saves the style of the layer. So if we save our project and our layer was in with orange border and transparent fill, the day after when we open our project, our shapefile will have this appearance. Okay, so the project controls that. So, but there is a way. So what we're going to do now is to set a nice style for the. Well, maybe first of all, sorry, we're going to duplicate. Okay, we click here in right button, and then we click on duplicate. What it does is to generate another instance from the same file. Okay, so we are showing the same file, the same shapefile with these 5 files in our folder, but it's showing that 2 times. Okay, like this we can use the same file and use different styles that we can combine. Okay, but what I want to show you now is how can we copy and paste formats the same way we do in Word, that you can copy. You have one font and you copy the format and paste the format to another line. Okay, so for example, I'm going to take the EA, the shapefile that I have on top, and I'm going to set it in a nice way. Okay, so I choose maybe this field. I put a pale gray border. I add a little bit the outline width. Okay, and it looks like this. Maybe I can set the transparency to be able to see across the satellite image from Google Earth. Okay, something like this. Then imagine that I get another, even we can add layers if you want. Some basic layers like this. Okay, I have my layers and my style. And I have my other shapefile that it can be the same or another one. Okay, and I'm going to show you. So imagine that I want to use the same format for this one. And rather than following the same process in the properties menu, I will do like this. I will right click. I will click on styles. Okay, and I will click on copy style. Then I click on the other layer. I go to styles, and then downwards the copy style option. I now have paste style, and then you see here that both layers has the same style. This saves us time. Okay, rather than put the labels on, the borders in pale gray, that color, that's transparency, we can save. We can copy and paste. Okay? So here you have the process. Okay? Then we can save a style that we commonly use. For example, I have a couple of styles that you have seen already. This orange with transparent fill. Okay. Imagine that I'm gonna set a style like this. So transparent fill, orange border. Like this, because I like it to work with. I like this kind of a style when I work when I clean in topologies, for example. Okay, and I remove the labels because to clean topologies, I don't need labels. Okay. So actually, what I can do is to save the style, and then when I open another project, I will always have this style available. So what I can do is to go to Properties, Style, and then here, and on the left bottom corner, I can click Style and say, okay, I want to save as default. That will mean that any shapefile I open, it will be open like this, or save the style. So I can save this style, QGIS layer style file, and I can call it like orange transparent. Okay, and it's already stored. So if now I imagine that I duplicate this one, okay, I want to set the same style in another project, and I have a folder with all my styles stored there. So I can go to Properties, go to Style, click on Load Style, and I have this orange transparent. So I click, open, and my layer is going to be formatted with this, with the same style.
Can it be loaded on a different map, that style?
Yeah, you can open a map, another map. Okay. Layers, South Tarawa, and then I just go to Style, load the style, orange transparent. Here we are.
I mean, you're using the Tarawa.
The shapefile, I can use it,
At that place, you can use it.
of course, if it's a polygon layer. Okay. This you can use this type of styles for any polygon layer. Okay. I'm gonna run a little bit here because this is something that you have in the template. It's quite straightforward if you follow this, and actually it's step by step. Okay. Now I want to take a look to this, to the advanced labeling. Some of you already know Swanson and Charlington. Charlington now it's a legend with the advanced labeling tool. And actually, in GIS, when we are producing maps, one of the most complicated tasks is the labeling. Okay, you can, at the very end, most of the people what they finally do is to export the map and edit the labels in Adobe in Photoshop, okay, or in Adobe Creator. Then they can just put it in you can use a graphic designer software and then drag the labels in the right place. But QGIS has a feature that is called custom label tool that works very well. Okay, so what we're gonna do is like to open. We're going to open these layers. Solomon population CID. In our, if you want, you can remove this, for example. Okay, and we're going to open this layer. Sorry, not. Okay. So we're going to set and then, for example, let's use this style that we have already saved. Like this, I show you that it can be used for Solomon Island. Okay. So now imagine that we want to Well, so let's set a basic label. Okay. This is something that we know how to do. We go to Properties, Labels menu. We select Show Labels for this layer, and then we're going to use CNAME. Okay. And then we have these labels where we are showing its constituency in Solomon. Sorry, its constituencies names. Okay, for each of the constituencies we have the name. Okay, but we see that the way it locates if we want to display the whole country, some of the labels are disappearing, first of all, and some of the labels, they are just, well, they are above the geometries, and we cannot see much, okay? So the final layout, it's not very good. Actually, it's quite bad. So what do we do to improve this, okay? So we have this, well, first of all, there's one thing that I want to show you. You know this, when you zoom in, you will see that all the labels for it, we can see all the labels for each of the constituencies, okay? But when we zoom out, we start to see some of the labels that are disappearing, okay? This is a by default rule that most of the GIS software have in order to avoid overlapping of the labels, okay? In order to get automatically clean layouts, okay? But we don't want to lose labels, okay? We don't want to lose them. So there's here in an option in the labels menu, which is called rendering, and in you see well, after the labels index, we have an option that is show all labels for this layer, including colliding labels, including the labels that are overlapping, okay? So we just check here, and when we apply, we can see all the labels, okay? One label for each of the polygons, but, well, it doesn't look very good, okay? Because we cannot see anything. Even the labels are impossible to read. So, what can we do to improve this, okay? So let's gonna take just the northwest sector of the country, okay? And we're gonna use a plugin that it's called AC custom labeling, okay? So the first day, I think all of us install this plugin. So we should be able to see this menu bar. Do you see it? You have to look. You have to try to take a. You have to look. Take a look. In my QGIS is there because I was ready for the training. It would be a bit odd that I don't have the tool. Okay, so if you don't have it, this one. Okay, you can check as well in plugins that it's easy custom labeling. If you don't find it in plugins, you will need to go to the plugins repository and check whether this tool has been downloaded and installed. So everyone has easy custom labeling tool? No? Yes? Good? So this is going to be easy because we have to be sure that we only have Solomon, okay? If you have Kiribati and Solomon, please remove Kiribati, remove software hour, okay? Because we can get confused, okay? Okay, to activate, to start working with easy labeling tool, we have to select the layer, because if we have different layers, we have to be sure that we are selecting the right layer, and then we are going to click here, generate a layer ready for custom labeling tools. So we click here, and we have a window which is asking us which field do we want to use to create those layers, and we are going to select the same field that we were using for the shapefile, for the layer. CName, the constituency name. I should have chosen Vanuatu. Area Council is it's easier to pronounce. Or Fiji, Tikina. So,
it's good that someone here had that.
so CName, okay? So we select the, well, and indeed if you want to use the constituency ID, you can do, well, you can select whichever. But let's stick on to the plan, because there will be further steps that we will follow tomorrow, and so let's select CName, and now you see that we have two sets of labels. First of all, what we're going to do is like to remove the labels from the polygon layer, and you will see that we have generated a new layer, but it's just a label layer, okay? Just annotations, okay? It's kind of a mix of line and point layer that allow us to have more control in the way we are going to label, okay? This allows us to to change the orientation of the labels, to follow the to follow the shape of some of the layers, to change the location. So what are we going to do now for the moment, okay, is that to learn how to change for the moment, how to change the location of the label, okay? So you'll see that this menu, all these buttons are already activated, okay? And that by default, our label layer is in edition mode, okay? So we are editing that labels, okay? It's a new shapefile, and we are going to edit that shapefile, okay? The labels are gonna have a point behavior, okay? So we can drag them. So now what we're going to do is like to choose this this tool that it's called Move Label and Diagram, and it has this yellow sticker with the blue arrow. We click on it, and then we just, by selecting the labels, we can drag them wherever we want. Since we are in editing mode, we have to be sure that we are saving all our edits that we undertake into the label layer. So now it's an independent shapefile, okay? And we can for today, we are going to stop here, okay? Just I want you to do two things. Drag a couple of labels, save edits, okay? And save the project, because tomorrow we will keep going from this point. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is create from scratch one label. So when we want to use Easy Label Custom tool, we will find this menu here. If it's not, if we don't see this menu, maybe we have to check on plugins. Be sure that Easy Custom Labeling Tool and Memory Layer Saver are installed, because they work both all together. Easy Custom Labeling for the additional labeling tools, and Memory Layer Saver is the plugin that will allow us to save all the edits, all the changes undertaken in the new labeling layer within the project. If this memory layer saver is not installed, once we close the project, when we open it again, all the changes, we won't be able to store all the changes, all the modification, all the editings in our labeling layer, okay? Because it works like roughly like a temporary layer. So here in the project, in our software, we have both plugins available. So I click here, and it's going to be based on one of our shapefiles. So first I need to select the shapefile that I want to create this additional layer with labels, and I select the field that I want to use for the labeling. So in this case, I use the name of the constituencies, and here we are. You see that the label appears by default in editing session, so we can start editing, modifying the labels from the beginning. And the first tool I want to show you is the drag tool. This tool, which is this small this yellow panel with the blue arrow, we have to activate, and then we are able to drag the labels in the location we prefer the most, okay? If we don't want to have those labels overlapping or over our geographies because we want to display very well the shapes of the islands, etc., we can drag them outside the polygons. And then if we want to add some lines that connect the labels with the geographies, what we have to do is to go to properties, okay, and then we go to style. This is a style of the lines that are connecting the labels with the geometries, okay, and then we have to click on simple line and find this last option in the menu, which is use custom dash pattern, and we see here this yellow control. That means that is the attribute table which is controlling this parameter. The only thing we have to do is just to click on it and deactivate the control from the attribute table. And then we will see if we click on apply, we can see our lines connecting the labels with the geometries. Then we can modify the color as if we were working in a common line layer. I put some oranges. By default, you will see that the layer transparency it's set in around 60%. If we don't want our lines to be transparent, we set it on 0. We click on apply, and then we have our nice lines connecting the labels with the geometries. And do not forget to save the editing layers and to close the edition session. An additional thing, if we want to change, for example, the text font, we will go to properties, and for example, I want to change the size of the labels. Okay, imagine that I want to have big size, and I set 15. I click OK, but nothing has been modified. This is because the size of the labels are being controlled by the attribute table. And how do we know that this is happening? Because these buttons on the right of each of the parameters controlling the settings of the labels are in yellow. So we just need to click on this control and deactivate. You see that here in fields type string, we see which field is controlling. In this case, is label font, okay. And in case we want to change to Calibri, for example, if we like more this type of font for our labels, and here the same. We see that the field string, the field type that is, or the field that is controlling this is label size. We just need to deactivate, and we will control this parameter from the labels menu. And now it's working. Okay, just this is the small difference between the regular, the usual way we handle labels, and this particular type of easy custom labeling layers. They have these additional settings that we need to be aware of and to be capable to modify. So then just I close my editing session, and I have my labels set as I wanted. So we continue with the. So everyone could handle the style of the labels, the location, and everyone have some labels connected by lines to the geographies. It's okay? Great. So now we want to add. We want to put the name of the constituency in uppercase, and we want to add the population of each of the constituencies. Okay? So what we are going to do is what we're going to do is we're going to properties, we're going to label, and you will see we choose show labels for these styles. We have to go to the remember to the labels layer, okay? And this labeling expressions that I'm gonna show you. You can use them as well in a normal shapefile, okay? So you go here, show labels for this layer, and then in the label width, you select this. You click on this this expression button. Okay, this one, and you will see this field calculator or expression panel. Okay, this one. So we are, click here, and then you have to insert this expression. Those expressions, in order you to not to get lost with this, there's one txt file in your module 5 folder where you will find all the expressions that we are going to use during this module. And they have a title. So now you have to choose population plus name label. Okay? Rather than trying to copy this, or you can try to type this, but in case I'm just going from one slide to the other, in this txt file, you will find the expression for each of the exercises that we are gonna make. Okay? So we're gonna take this expression, I'm gonna copy it, and I open my properties menu, I go to labels, and then instead of using this label field, I'm going to click here in expression, I delete this label field, and I paste my expression. And it's saying that it doesn't work because I forgot upper. This. Okay, because there's a problem with the last apostrophe. Okay, there's the apostrophe I put in the txt file. It's this twisted. Well, it's this laid apostrophe. You have to replace it by a. Well, it's not a slash. It's this French accent that actually in Spain we don't have this to the left accent. We just have the right to the right accent. So that was sorry. So that's why you will find this. So, but I will correct this and we'll update into the next. So you just need to, in this expression, you just be sure that you are replacing this apostrophe by the. So, and actually I forgot to add upper here. So let's see if it. Okay, it's gonna work anyway. So we have this. So if I click, if my expression is okay, is your expression okay? It does work. So I click OK, and now my labels, I'm labeling at the same time the population, the total population, plus the constituency name. Okay. So for the moment, I think that this part of advanced labeling, I'm gonna leave it here because it's gonna be a long day, and if at the end of the day I have a couple of slides and a couple of examples more to show you, okay, about this advanced labeling, but I prefer to start with the atlas. Be sure that we have time enough to go through the atlas tool, and then if at the end of the day we still have time and energies, we go through this. But these other labeling exercises, it's just you can play with them by your own, because all the expressions are in the expression text file, and so it just. I put more complex examples, like we calculate sex ratio and we label it, or we color labels depending on the value of a parameter, okay? So for example, the sex ratio, here, if the sex ratio is less than 1, it means that there are more females than males, it's in red, and if there's more males than females, it's in blue. So you can play as well with this type of. Or you can label, you can use the size of, you can, whenever you have more population, your labels can be bigger. And when you have small populations, your labels will be smaller. Okay, there's plenty of things that we can do with labeling. Okay, but I prefer to start before with the atlas, and so. Now you will see we're gonna work with the layout and atlas generation. What the atlas generator does, it allows us to produce 100 maps automatically. 100, 200, 300, 700, okay? For example, this is very useful when we are generating enumerator maps. We need to map EA by EA, okay? And what the Atlas generator does is to, well, you set your parameters, and the result is that you have programmed a tool that is going to go across the map, making photos of each of the enumeration areas. And at the same time is putting the EA code of each of the enumeration areas, and the right village name and the right island name, and putting the right scale bar, okay? So, and rather than doing the maps one by one, okay, imagine that you have already done 50 enumeration area maps, okay? And your supervisor arrives and tells you, the flag or the coat of arms you put is not the right one, or the logo has changed. And it's like, oh, so you have to open 50 map composers and replace the logo by the other. Or you forgot the logo of, it happens to me, for example, no, that I'm using, this is not the right flag, or this is not the right coat of arms, when I have already printed 750 maps. So, when you have an atlas, you just need to change it one, click on run, and it will produce the maps by its own, okay? But if you are doing it manually, you will have to go through the 750 map composers and replace one by one the flag or the title or whatever is the error that you have in your map. So first I'm going to show you how to set up an atlas and prepare the project for automated map generation. I will show you some rule-based style and label, automatic titles to set an overview map. Okay, we have the map of the enumeration area, and we have another map zooming out, showing us where this enumeration area is located in the island or in the village, okay? Helping the enumerator to find that EA. And if we have time, we will go through more complex stuff, and we will learn how to add tables that are as well controlled by the atlas, okay? Tables that are showing, for example, for a survey, this is very useful because we have a table showing the points that are being displayed in our enumeration area, and next to the map we have the ID code of each of the points, the name of the head of the household, okay, and maybe another information. Maybe if this household has been selected for the wash module or for the gender module, if we are running multiple surveys at the same time, okay? So I want you to please open the layout exercise project. So you go to module, to the module 5 folder, and you will find that it's a layout project. I don't want you to open this one because the layout project is the project. So what I wanted with these exercises is that you take with you a project that is currently working, okay, that it's already set, and in this project, if you get stuck with some of the Atlas steps, you can go to this project and check out and check what did I do. Okay, in this project I'm going to show you. You open layout exercise. No, okay, sorry about that. because I open it into QGIS 3. So in this project, you will have a map composer, which is Kiribati listing landscape, that actually still thinking. Let's give it a okay. That it's working. Okay, so you see here my EA selected with the code, the village name, the island name, and points with the household ID. Okay, and if I go forward, you'll see that I'm going through the different EAs, and that the EA code is being automatically generated. The village name, the South Tarawa Island, okay, everything is set and everything is working. So you have another one. This is a South Tarawa supervisor. Okay, that is something that well. So this is the you have one project that is working. So in case you get stuck, you can go to all this configuration and check what did I put in there, okay, to make the atlas work. So I'm just closing this and I open. So the layout is like the final, our objective today, and the layout exercise is the one that we are working with. So it's already half set. So all the layers are there. We are not going to spend time like, okay, like, setting everything up. Well, some of the stuff we need. But for example, the map composer, it's already there, but the atlas has not been generated, okay, yet. So, or it's been generated, but yeah, we have to. But well, it's half of the way already done, okay, with this. But we are going to be able to go step by step and do it by ourselves. And I think it's the portrait, which is yes, okay. Is the portrait, which is the one. It's so we are going to work on this portrait map composer, but we don't for the moment. Just stay here, and we go to through the slides. Okay, so when I check one thing. So we open. Everyone could open the layout exercise. Remember, layout exercise. Okay, the layout is the final one, and we shouldn't be modifying anything in the layout final, because it's the one that you're gonna keep with you as a reference. Okay. Well, if you keep your USB keys, you will have a backup. In case you lose it or you have any problem, you can ask me, and all those materials will be available online. So in case you lose them, or will be updated and available online. So in case you lose them, or you want to start from scratch, or you modify something that you didn't want, you just can go to the workshop site and download the materials. Okay. So you see that now we have South Tarawa with some layers already there. Okay. So what we are going to do is to set up our atlas. Okay. So we go to project, print composers, and this is important. We are going to open Kiribati household listing port. Okay? The landscape is already set up, but I want you to open the Kiribati Kir HH listing port, okay? Which is the one that where the atlas has not been configured, okay? So like this, we are gonna be able to work with and follow the steps, okay? So you see already that we have something like this. Port. This one, it's landscape, and the other one is portrait. Okay? We want to work with the one, it's portrait. Okay? This one, with the north arrow here, some titles here, no titles. Okay? So, let's go to the steps. Okay? So, select Kiribati household listing port. Okay? And then we go to, you will see on our right, on the right side of the Map Composer menu, okay, we have Atlas Generation tab, okay. This is the menu where we configure, where we are going to set, okay, the way the Atlas is gonna be making the photos of the different EAs, okay. And this is controlled by one layer. And more in detail, this is controlled by the attribute table of one of the layers in our project. In our case, if we want to go from one EA to another EA, taking photos of all of the EAs, the shapefile, the layer that is going to control the atlas, that is going to be in charge of the atlas, it's going to be the EA layer, okay? If we want to go village by village, or island by island, the layer that is going to control the atlas will be village and island, okay? I'm trying to repeat this concept because sometimes we get lost between the map canvas, where we set the colors, the labels, okay? Then we go to the Map Composer. Okay, there's too many windows, there's too many elements, and sometimes we get lost through the menus and we don't understand properly what are we doing, okay? And sometimes I myself, I get lost as well. So, so we go to Atlas Generation, and then we check on Generate an Atlas. Okay? And downwards, we have to set the configuration settings, as you can see them into this window. Okay? So we first set the coverage layer, the layer that is going to control our atlas, okay? So we select South Tarawa EH 4326. I recommend you to follow the steps at the same time I'm explaining them, okay? Because if not, after 3 steps that we have not followed, we get lost, okay? So I want your mouses moving. I want to see them. It's okay? So then we have to select the page name, okay? Which is the name each of the maps are gonna have, which of the map files are gonna have. So I need unique code for this. So, well, actually I'm gonna use the field EA _ mix, okay? And then we are producing an atlas not for a census. This is gonna be an atlas for a survey. So we have already a list of enumeration areas selected. So we just want to generate maps for the selected EAs. Okay, so we are going to need to set a filter that tells to the atlas, make the photos only for the selected EAs. So we will use filter with, and we will add this expression, mix selected equal 1. Okay, here, because this is wrong, we are not going to select orient L, we're going to select field orient P. What is this P orientation, L orientation? Because you see that I have okay, sometimes we have geographies that have this shape. Okay, so this type of geographies fits well on a landscape map. But other times we have islands or we have geographies that have these shapes. And if I try to put it in a landscape oriented map, they are too far. Okay, so they fit better in a portrait orientation. So that's why I'm generating two map composers, the landscape map composer, the portrait map composer, and assigning to each of the enumeration areas in which map composer they should be hosted. Okay, I have generated a field which is called orient here in my attribute table, which is called orient, that where am I assigning whether the geography is going to be, it fits better in a landscape orientation or in a portrait orientation. Okay? For the moment, I will show you later how to create that, because we don't do that manually. It's too much work. Okay? It's a waste of time going through the... How many years you have in Fiji? 2,000, almost 2,000 EAs. This goes portrait. You imagine yourself like going to each of the EAs, assigning L, P to each of the... Okay, so no way. So what we're gonna do is, well, I will show you later how to do this programmatically, okay? But well, so are you handling with this atlas configuration? So once we have all this, we have South Tarawa as the coverage island, layer. The page name is EA_mix. We filter with the selected enumeration areas and the ones that are orientated in P, not in L. Sorry, because this should be P. And we sort by. We use the EA mix code to sort, to go from the EA1 to the EA22, for example. Okay? And then the output is the name of the file. Okay? So we need to be sure that we are, and the name of the file is going to be given by one of the fields. In this case, we use, for example, EA mix, but we need to be sure that the values of the field that we are using to name the files are unique because if I have one EA that is number 1 and it produces the map and export it into JPG, for example, into my folder, and then it goes through the different EAs, and there's another EA coded as number 1, it will produce the map and override the map already generated. Okay, so we need, for this output file names, we need unique values. Okay, the easiest way is to use EA codes that we are 100% sure that they are unique. Okay, or village code. Okay, sometimes if we use names, we can find a duplicate, for example, and they will override. Okay, so why if I do have 200 rows, the atlas is just producing 198 maps? Because I probably have a problem with that. Okay, so and the last step. Okay, we have to select. So I'm going to do this. South Tarawa. Page name is gonna be EA Mix. I'm gonna filter no, it's not here. Oh, I have to write it. So I go to expression, filter width. So we said that it's mix selected equal 1 and orientation equal, I hope it's P. Good. So, and I sort by EA mix. And here in the output file expression, I just go to the expression, I just select the field EA mix. Okay? Oh, and then if you want to add some text or something, but I prefer to, my advice is just use simple file names, okay? And now you see that my atlas, if I click to activate my atlas, well, in my case it works, but because no, it doesn't work. You will see, it won't work. So I click here and nothing is moving. It's still there in the same place, okay? Because we need to go through a last step, okay? So what we're gonna do is to, once we have finished with our atlas generation parameters, we're going to item properties, and we select the map that we want to be, the map that we want to show the EA by EA, okay? We select the map, we go to item properties, and you will find below the extents settings an option that is controlled by atlas. Sorry. So you click on control by atlas, and now if I click on my preview atlas button, now if I navigate through the different atlas, it goes one by one. So I've stopped here, and we're gonna try to be sure that we are all in this stage, okay? Because this is something that during the whole module, okay, we have to follow, okay? If we miss a previous step, we get lost for the rest, okay? So this is important. Then if you're okay, please do not forget to save, okay? I won't ask you to do. How do I set this, what I was mentioning, as automatic assignment to landscape or portrait orientation. Okay, this is already done. You will find the expression in the here in the text file, which is called set layout orientation. So I'm going to show you how do I usually do. Okay, so I open my attribute table, okay, and I'm going to create using the our beloved open field calculator, and I'm going to create an orientation field. Okay, has to be a string because I'm assigning L and P. If you don't need to do this, I'm just showing you how to do it, and then if you want to test, because we have to go to the coffee break. So just showing you text string, and then I go to my text expression. This one. So what this expression does is it measures the width and the height, or the length, or the height. Thank you, of each of the shapefiles. And if my width is bigger, I assign landscape. If my height is bigger than my width, I assign it into I write portrait. And then I can classify my 2000 EAs in 1 second, something like this. Okay, so I just click here, okay, and then you see that I have created my orientation field. The field that is going to control which EAs goes to each of the map composers. The other stuff is that the inconvenience of this, I think that you could do it programmatically, but well, what I used to do is to create first the landscape, for example. One is already set, I just copy, I just duplicate, change the map composition. I will show you into a portrait orientation page. Just put the titles and the legend and everything, and then just set the filters. The P orientations are going to be printed using the portrait map composer, and the L oriented EAs are going to be in the landscape map composer. Okay, this is everything. This is already set and available in the layout project. Okay, so you will find both composers with the filter set, okay, in order to help you in future atlas. So we go for the coffee at 10:30. We have a very short, very brief presentation about the NADA World Bank project. It's Michael Sharp who's gonna present. It will be a short one, 15 minutes, and 5 minutes of discussion, and we keep working on this. Okay, my objective today is go from the A to the Z of the atlas generator. Okay, for the moment it's okay. We have an atlas working, and then just we are going to complicate a little bit the things in order to have a proper layout product. Be sure that we are all in the same page. So now we have configured our atlas. So just to show you, when we click on this button, that it's a preview atlas, okay, that we can view the different EA maps. Okay, we just click on it, and with this menu we can navigate through the different maps. Okay, we can use either this control with the arrows that move one by one through the different maps, or you can use this scroll down menu, and you can just click on the EA that you want to display at that moment. Okay, And then if we want to make a bulk export into either image format or send them into the printer, we will click on this button, okay? And it will generate, if we have, for example, 200 maps in our atlas, it will export the 200 maps in one go. We don't need to go map by map, clicking print, okay? Which is, we can just select one and print it, but it's by using, rather than clicking on the atlas menu, you will go here to the export to JPG or PDF or SVG, okay? So to export one by one or print one by one, we go here, and if we want to make a bulk export of the whole of the complete atlas, we will click here. But for the moment, we still need to set other items before we test with export. Just when we make the bulk export, it takes a little while, but well, it's some time that we can be doing other stuff like checking the email, having a coffee, okay? But the project just gets, you cannot continue working on that project. In QGIS 3, it will be possible because we will have these background processing capabilities. Okay, so now we are on this stage where we have our atlas configured. We can go from one EA to another. We have selected just the portrait EAs, just the EAs that have been selected for the next survey. Okay, so we are not going to print the whole EA framework. So, and we know how to navigate. Okay, we use this because we want to check. Well, at the end, there's a monitoring, there's a checking work that at the end you have to pass through the 250 EAs to check whether everything is okay or not, or maybe you have to change a little bit some parameters. There's a name that is too long. Okay, so there's a work of check that all the maps are okay, but well, it's part of the process. But it's true that this application saves us a lot of time, weeks, I would say. Okay, if I have to do 200 EA maps one by one manually, don't know how many. Depends. You do one layout every 15 minutes, well, the first hour, then you get. So, yeah, well, depends. I never test since I discovered this. There's no. So now we are going to enhance our map. Okay, the way this works, it's okay. Well, we have these yellow boundaries with transparent fields, but we can do it better. So to improve our layout, we are going to set a rule-based style and labels. Like this, we can, depending on whether our EA is being focused for the photo, then we decide whether or not we display labels or the type of style. Okay? So we can have different styles. One style for the selected EA, maybe a red line surrounding the EA, and maybe the EAs that have not been selected, we can put some type of shade to highlight which EA we are focusing. Okay, so we go to properties, we click we select style and rule based. we have to go to the mapping canvas here. We get out of from the Map Composer interface, and we are going to select the EA that is controlling our atlas. Okay. In this case, in my case, I go to Atlas Generation, South Tarawa EA 4326. Okay. So now this looks like this, my map. I'm gonna display it. Okay. And I don't want to have this type of format. Okay. It's not the appropriate one for if I have background and etc. What I want to do is like to turn this EA into a transparent style, and those ones, the adjacent EAs, but the ones that they are not selected, I'm gonna shade them with some semi-transparent fill. Okay. So what I'm going to do is just to select properties, style, okay, and in this bar here you will select rule based. Okay, now you see in style you see single symbol. Now you go to rule based. With this we are going to be able to interact between the style and the atlas. Now we create a new rule by clicking on this button. Okay, we create a new one. Okay, or there's one already created. We double click here. Okay, and we're gonna label the style. Okay. This like this it will appear in the legend, okay, and we are gonna type selected EA, and then we go to this button with the 3 dots here, and expression string builder will be opened, and we are going to type here an expression. Expression is not here, but it's a quite easy expression to add, which is this one. Atlas feature ID equal ID. Okay? So we first insert the feature, the expression. I think that you can find this in if I think I can find it record. Okay, ID you can get it from record. Okay, by double clicking, and then you can Atlas feature. I think it's in. Well, I don't remember. You can use the search bar, and if you type Atlas, you will find all the related or similar expressions in the string expression builder. And we choose this Atlas feature. We put it in the right place. Okay, but it has to be. We have to replace the @ by the dollar symbol. Atlas feature ID equal ID. It doesn't like it. Why? There's an underscore. Yeah. So I think it's easier if we just type the the expression, okay? So it's $symbol atlas feature ID equal ID. Okay, now we have output preview 0 and we can click on OK. Okay, and now if we click in OK, we have this and we have the possibility of testing the expression.
What does that code mean? Like,
It means that you set this style, this transparent with red border, when the EA it's equal as the EA that the atlas has selected. The ID is the key. Well, it's built in already in our attribute table. Okay, here, so, and the atlas, it's actually retrieving the same, okay? So if the ID in your table is the same than the ID that the atlas is making the photo, if the row, you know, the atlas is going to go through the table row by row, and it's going to make the photos. So if my EA is selected by the atlas, set this format. If not, set another. So now we are going to test, okay? And when I click, I get one feature. So this means that it's working. Okay, we can test. Okay, if we set a rule where when we expect to select, for example, 20 points, if we test, we will have future, so this format will work for 20 futures. Now we have our atlas connected, so now our atlas is right now selecting one EA, so if we test the expression, it's because we have one feature returning, okay? So, and then, very important, we cannot forget to set the style, because we can put a rule base, but if both the styles are the same, who cares? Okay, it's so. What the style I'm selecting is just a transparent field with a red border. Okay, and then I go to the second, because I want two styles. One style for the selected and one style for the non-selected. And for the non-selected, what I'm going to select is, I'm going to write not selected. And in the filter, I just type else. And I test. Well, it doesn't like. Why don't you like this? Or you just type but I think it's gonna work. So if we type else, and then we just change the parameters, we select a blue, and if we want to add a semi-transparent fill, so we select this, and then in fill we set this transparency like this, and maybe we decide to use a different color for the border, like a bright yellow. Apply, okay. And now if I go to my atlas and I update the preview, I have this style. Okay, now we have our selected EA in red, with red border, totally transparent, and the non-selected EAs with this semi-transparent fill in yellow border. Yes.
Can you look at the condition?
Yes. It's this one, the second one.
Yeah. That expression, why if it's only else?
Because it's just it's all it's the because you are it's the opposite of the rest of the EAs. Okay, rather than putting a condition, you say, okay, this is the condition and the opposite on the rest of the rest of the EAs that does not meet this condition. We just type else because the atlas, it only selects one EA per time. And then imagine that you save this project and you want to assign this style to other layer. This style, this rule base, you can save it as I showed you the other yesterday. You can save your QGIS layer style and say and call it Atlas style. And if you save it in your folder, styles folder, rather than banging your head to try to configure it, you just import that from your style folder. This is the okay. Or rather than being googling, checking, why this is not working, you just take the style from another from the styles folder and apply that style into your shapefile. And since we are using very generic expressions, ID and Atlas feature ID, this is gonna work for every shapefile. Okay, if we were using specific field names, we will probably find problems applying this style into another shapefile. Okay. You go to item properties and click on update preview. If it is not working, maybe you have to switch, because sometimes it's in rectangle or case. You have to click on render and update preview. Did it work? So I will.
The map again, please, sorry.
Sure.
Can we see the expression at the not selected EA?
Yes. You just have to type here else, and when you test it, it tells you it doesn't like it, but it works. Okay? It doesn't like else, but it works.
Yeah, in the function list there is no else.
In the function list, in the expression function list, there's no else, but it works. Okay? So you have to force it. Okay? I said else, you know? You have to tell them
Even the $Atlas feature, the syntax and function
they doesn't like it. But because it's not something by default, but it's something that it can handle. Sorry, what is the? There was someone. This one. You have it in the PowerPoint. So just type this expression. Okay, Atlas future ID with this dollar symbol equal dollar symbol ID. So I'm going to create the text for the village name. So I click on Add Text Panel, put it here, and I'm going to remove the QGIS the text that comes by default. Then I want to add text saying this is the village name. I close the text string with a single quote. The bars for concatenate another element, and then I double click on village name. I see here that my expression makes sense, and here we are. Then we modify a little bit the layout. It's good. And then we put like this is okay. Village name. So we see that it's taking a little while because it's freezing.
Votre attention, s'il vous plaît, c'est à bientôt. Peux-tu rappeler la réception? Merci.
Okay. Okay, so we see that it is well, I think the internet connection. Okay, so it's the village name. It's been updated when we go from one EA to another. So we don't need to add these titles manually. Okay, what is missing in this map? The scale bar. Okay, so we just need to go to on the left side of the left side menu bar, this one with the small scale bar. Okay, add scale bar, and then the same is always the same approach. Okay, we click and then we have to delineate the rectangle where we are going to the area where we want to add the scale bar. Okay, it doesn't look very good. Okay, why? Well, I'm using label unit multiplier, so I select scale bar. We usually choose meters. How many meters is a nautical mile? No idea. Okay, so I don't use feet because it's it's a metric unit from invented by the devil. It's nonsense. Sorry, I'm from Europe, so God save the metric system. Okay, so we use scale bar meters, and if I want my scale bar in kilometers, I will label unit multiplier into I will multiply the meters by 1000 in order to have kilometers, and then I label for units in kilometers. Okay. For the case of South Tarawa, the case of Atoll Islands, well, we leave it in kilometers. The point is that we need to, in order to improve the visibility, we can reduce the number of segments, okay? And actually, rather than use it a fixed width, that it's 200.5 kilometers, because if we use a fixed width, okay, our scale bar doesn't look very well. So what we can do is just to select the second option. It's like the fit the segment wide, which means that we are going to give to in the Math Composer, we are going to say, okay, I want a scale bar that goes from 5 centimeters up to 10 centimeters. And depending on the scale of each of the maps, it will adapt the scale bar to this range of size. Like this, we won't have, we will never have, because you see the behavior when I move. What this is? This is map 1. No, this is map 0. Okay. Another point. In main properties, we have to be sure that we are this scale bar is related with the map 0, with this map. Okay? If we have two maps, we have to tell the scale bar which from which map we are providing information. Okay? So we have this kind of scale bar. The problem with Atlas is that we have to be very careful because we have different size of EAs, and sometimes, our scale bar can go out from the map, and we need to control that. How do we control this? For example, we say, okay, we are going to fit the width of the scale bar in a range in between 4 centimeters and, for example, 80. Okay? Like this, my scale bar will have a minimum of 4 centimeters in the map and a maximum of 8 centimeters. And if I put it here on this side, okay, I'm always sure that even if the difference in terms of size of the different EAs, my scale bar will not be too long for my layout. Okay, will not be longer than the piece of paper. Okay, so we prevent possible errors. Okay. What is missing in that map apart from legend? Okay. So now I have set the EA text, the village name text, the scale bar. Is a good moment to save your project. Okay, click save. So everybody could manage to add the scale bar. Do you want me to repeat? Do you want to take a look to this? Okay. Is it okay for the scale bar? Good. It's a bit for static layouts. To deal with the sorry. It's much easier to deal with the scale bars because it's only one scale. Okay, so then you can make it bigger, smaller, etc. When we deal with Atlas, we need to control all these new. Well, it's a little bit more complex. It happens the same with the text. Okay, if I'm using village name, here you see that I made my rectangle quite long because I might have a very long village name and I don't want it to be cropped. So what is missing here? The legend. So same approach. I go to my left side menu bar, add new legend. You know this icon with the small legend there. I cannot make it bigger, sorry, but well, if you go, you have this help text, so it's written add new legend, and then I can put it here, for example, then I will drag it into the right location, and you see that by default it adds everything was in the project, okay? In order to have control over the items that will appear in my legend, what I'm going to do is to uncheck the auto update option. Okay? Once you see these controls, when it's in auto update mode, these controls are disabled. Okay? So what I can do is just to uncheck this, and all of these controls are already available to be used. Okay? So I can start cleaning a little bit. All the background satellite images items, I can remove them. South Tarawa villages, I can remove it. This means that I'm removing elements from the legend, but in my project they're still there. Okay? I'm just controlling what do I display into the legend and what I am removing. So for the moment, I just want to show household selected, the selected households, and the EA boundaries. The rest of the items, I can remove them. Okay. Now here I can change a little bit the text, because for example, household selected _ survey, it's not a very nice title. So if I double click over the item, I can change the label. So selected households. Okay, and the same for the enumeration area files, shapefiles. Just enumeration. So you can here like add the title, legend, or you can put whatever you want. In enumerator maps, we are always looking for have the biggest map possible. Okay, so we try to reduce the number of elements that are decreasing the space available for the map, which is the most important element, because it's going to help the enumerator to navigate across the enumeration area. Okay, So of course that this is a legend. So do we need to write legend on top of the legend? No, so we remove it, okay? We try to be minimalist, okay? Enumeration area. Well, I can get rid of this as well, and probably I can remove the count stuff, and like this I can add again. Okay, remove. So we can add and remove new elements. If, for example, by accident we have removed an element that we didn't want to, just clicking here in the red cross, okay, and remove it using the minus symbol, okay, and you can change the legend or the title either by double clicking over the text item or using this paper with the pencil icon, and then we can change the order, okay, of the elements within the legend, okay. We can sort the elements, and so for example I'm going to remove this text here, okay, and then I have space enough to put the legend below the map. You can use also, you can distribute your legend, for example, into different columns, which is, I'm selecting the wrong element. So you can say, okay, can you distribute the elements into different columns? Like this, we get a bit more space, okay, if we have narrow margins, we can fit the the legend below the map. I do not recommend you to put the legend over the map, okay, since this is an atlas, the geometries that we are going to display on the map are going to be diverse, okay, are going to be different from each other. So it's going to be hard for us to control or to find the right place of the legend, and at the same time avoid the legend covering the EA boundaries, okay. Our priority here is that the enumerator can find easily the boundaries of the EA, okay. So that's why I'm putting the legend, the scale bar, the titles, everything out of the map. When we have a static map that we know that this region here and this region here it's going to be free of, okay, you have free space because it's only one map, then why not? And it looks more professional, it looks sexier, okay. But when we use atlases, we try to not to put legends, scale bars, titles over the map, okay, because in some of our maps those elements will hide the household locations, or will hide part of the boundaries, okay. And since I have set my legend, I will click Save. So, last one. Would you see that this overview map, which is not moving that much, okay? Because it is not already, it hasn't been set to be reactive to the atlas. Okay? Yes? Sorry. In order to create two columns in legend, you have this below fonts sub-menu, you have columns. Just below the legend panel, the order of items, just you have fonts, and just below you have a sub-menu which is named as columns, and then you can you can set the number of columns you want You found it? Great. Okay, so this looks... Okay, so let's work on the last element, which is our overview map. Okay, the overview map is used to help the enumerator and the supervisors to locate where the EA is located. Okay, for us it's good to have this EA. We know that it's in South Tarawa. We know that it's in Antebuca village, but for us it's gonna be tough to locate. Okay, and if we need to arrange a transport, or the enumerator has to figure out where the EA is, if we don't have a nice or an overview map, for him it's gonna be, for him or for her, it's gonna be harder to find the EA. So this is why we use this overview map. Okay. When we produce enumerator maps, what I used to do is to produce a set of enumerator maps for the enumerators and another set of supervisor maps. Because sometimes we need to help the supervisor and the enumerators to locate how to locate the EAs. So these maps can be, so it's the same approach. Instead of we set an atlas, we display the EA boundaries, we label the EA boundaries, but we say to the atlas that he has to go village by village, making the photo at village level. Okay, and this will help enumerators and supervisors. For example, for planning purposes, these type of maps are very useful because that helps the people who's planning the transport, the people who's planning the logistics, the work plan. Well, if they can locate where the enumeration areas are, it's better to. We are providing special information and help them to better plan resources, work plans, etc. Okay, so last element, overview map. Okay, the overview map, it works exactly the same way as the main map does. Okay, so I have to be sure that I have in map 1 that I have selected that map, and what is missing here, that it has to be controlled by the atlas. Okay, so once I click on control by the atlas, okay, you see that, well, I have said already that the margin around the future has to be 300%. Okay, I think that I have this in the slides, and we can go step by step. Okay, better than, okay, here. So we go to item properties, we check control by the atlas, and we set the margin around 250%, 300%. Actually, I think it's better if we do it from the GIS. from the QGIS screen. So we can control this. Okay, and now I want to, if you want to set this grid, this square, okay, that is highlighting the location of the EA, we just go, okay, below the Control by Atlas menu, we set margin around the future to 250, 300. We want to zoom out, okay? We want to provide an overview of the map. We want to display the surroundings of the EA, okay? So 300 to 250 would be fine, okay? And then we click, we display, we extend this grid menu, we click, so and we say, okay, let's draw no, it's not grid, sorry. We don't want grid. We want overviews. Okay. And then we click on forget about grid. Okay, the grid is for these, okay, these lines that, but sorry. We click on overviews and then we double click on overview 1. If we don't have any, we have to click on this green cross and we create 1. And then we say, okay, to which map this overview belongs. So we say, okay, it's a map 0. So the map frame is map 0. And we change the style, or maybe since we are using yellow borders, and in my case I'm using yellow borders, so I will change into a red border, for example. Nice. And then I have this small frame around the selected EA, okay? But it's true that my overview map looks a bit odd, looks not very well, okay? Because I have the point, I have this conditional format. It's not very clean. I cannot see anything. It's very bad, actually. Okay, it's the worst overview map I ever seen in my life. No, it's not. So for overview maps, we need cleaner format. Okay, just the EA boundaries. So how can we do this? Do you remember that yesterday we were talking about presets? Just a refresh. So imagine that for my overview map, rather than having all these layers, I just want to have the EA boundaries in yellow with the background. Okay. In order to block these layers in one for one map canvas in the map composer, what I can do is to create a preset that actually I have already created, okay, but I can create a new one, okay? So I choose the layers that I want to display in my map canvas, and I create this preset. So I click on this eye here, and I click on, well, because now I'm in a preset mode. For example, if I put this, okay, I can click on Add Preset, okay, and this preset is gonna be save the EA, the layers that I'm displaying right now. In this case, is the satellite image background plus the EA boundaries in yellow border transparent fill. Okay, so I call it Overview 2. Okay. So if you see that here, imagine I have a preset for the EA map. If I click on the preset of EA map, I have the EAs and the styles that I have in my EA map, And if I click on preset of overview 2, I have this. So I can control with one click which layers. And this is very useful because if I don't have this, for example, right now, if I remove the lock layers, in my map here, everything has changed. Because I've been working in the mapping interface, and I have deactivated some of the layers, activated others, and that now my layout has been modified. So in order to control this, what I will do is to create, so put whatever I want to have in my canvas for the EA maps, create my preset called EA maps, and the same for the overview. And then when I go to the map composer, I click on the item properties, and in here in the submenu layers, I will say, okay, this map is going to follow a visibility preset. Which one? The EA map. And I will do the same for the overview. I go to my overview map, and I set that the layers that are going to be displayed in that map canvas are going to follow the overview rule. So now I have two different settings, but each set of shapefiles for each of the maps. And now I can go here and disconnect this, add this, remove this, because I'm cleaning one layer. But my map composer, if I update the preview and my overview map, if I update preview, is not going to be modified. So now the last one. How do we export our set of maps? We're almost there, okay?
Almost there. 10 miles more.
Almost there, okay? Now the map looks pretty well, could be improved, of course. Don't complicate your life too much with enumeration maps, okay? We have to provide information, basic information, but these fancy north arrows with the, how is it called, the wind rows, no, like
Wind direction.
the wind direction rows, like it's like this stuff, like if your map was a 18th century map used by James Cook to now, okay? Or fancy, or fancy font styles like italic, like wow. Try to get clean layout, okay? And give importance to what is important. In this case, it's the EA code, the village name, okay? The map, the overview map, and then for the rest of the elements, well, we're trying to reduce, okay? Because it's not an official map. It's not a map that is going to be embedded into a report, okay? Or into a document. That's another approach, okay? This is more, there are more rules to follow, okay? But here, now we are learning how to generate a set of 100, 200, 300 enumeration maps, and this is why I'm explaining you this way of doing maps, okay? So these are maps, these are field maps, okay? We don't have to follow all the rules in cartography. We don't need the grid. The projection most of the 95% of the enumerators, they don't know what a coordinate reference system is, and they don't need it. Okay, so there's no, it's a field map. Okay, so then if I'm publishing a map, if I put it into a website, in a report, of course, all this information should be included into our map layout. Okay? So now, how do we export? Okay, in one go. Okay, now we have saved. We're happy with our map. Okay, so now in this part of our menu, we have this export atlas as images. So we can click here, and we can select exporting atlas as image, or SVG, or as PDF. We choose the option we prefer. I prefer to use images because PDF sometimes with some typos, with some symbols, you find out that one of the letters in one of the names, because you were using a strange or not very typical character, has converted into an ad or into an apostrophe or something like this. So images are okay. Okay, we avoid this type of problems. And then we can select the folder where we are going to export our maps and just click OK, and your maps will be produced one by one. Okay, for example, I have Windows GIS. You see, I put all my stuff, all my GIS stuff in the C drive, not in the desktop. So I have GIS training, and then module 5, and then I can create a new folder which is called maps, and then I choose. Okay, I will abort. Then you have a menu here giving you the option to increase the quality. The by default quality is more than enough for A4 and even for A3, so it's okay. You can, what I recommend you to do is just to make a print, and you will see here that now it's generating the first map of 23. I'm just gonna show you how it looks like in the Internet Explorer. So maps, now it's generating here, and now this one. Okay, all the files are named with the EA code. Okay, it will take a little while, so I'm just aborting the operation, but you know that now I have my maps that has been exported into JPG and ready to be printed, ready to be shared with my boss to take a look and to tell me whether he's happy or she is happy or not with the maps, and that's all. So I have produced 23 maps in one click. There was a lot of work behind, but it's very time effective. Okay, there's a lot of work. It's a bit complicated, but it worth the time we spend on this, preparing and working on in all the settings. Because then, if for example, I forgot the island name, I don't need to go one by one figuring out which is the island name. I will go to my atlas, I add the island name, and then I rerun the map export process. Okay?